Okay, so our next 6-point problem is another solve the triangle problem. This time you're given two angles and a side. If you're ever given two angles and a side, it's going to be the law of sines. The first thing we do is we always figure out the other angle. If we have two angles, they just add up to 180, we can solve for the other angle. So it's not the ambiguous case. I went through an entire practice test and I did not see one with an ambiguous case, so just let me know if you see one and we'll do one. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve for the last angle. So we have a 100 degree, a 60 degree angle, plus A equals 180. So A is going to be 20 degrees. Then we set it up. Sine of A over little a, sine of B over little b, sine of C over little c. I filled in everything. And then I just picked which two parts I was looking at. So when I'm solving for little a, I use my sine of 100 over 7, and I just set it equal to the sine of 20 over a. I don't even look at this part in the middle here. And then I solve for a. I rearrange and I solve for a, so I get 2.43. Then when I'm looking for b, I do the same thing, except now I just don't look at this part. I like to use the parts where they've given me the information. That way I know I'm not making a mistake with some other calculation that I had done. So what I mean by that is I don't use sine of 20 over the a. I just calculated and set it equal because just in case I was off with a, I don't want to be off on b too. So I go back to this ratio and set it equal to the sine of 100 over 7 equals the sine of 60 over b, and I solve for b right here. Okay, the next one, this is a solve the triangle. Here I'm given three sides. If you're given three sides, it's going to be a law of cosines problem. So the first angle they want is A. So I'm going to use the A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A to solve for A first. I plug in all my values for my side, so I get 10 squared equals 6 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 6 times 8 cosine of A. Watch what happens. 10 squared is 100. Once I subtract the 6 squared and I subtract the 8 squared, I get 0 equals negative 2 times 6 times 8 cosine of A. So I divide, I get 0 divided by, this turns out to be negative 96 equals the cosine of A. But don't let that confuse you. Even type it in the calculator or go back to your unit circle. But the cosine inverse of 0 is 90 degrees. So you have a 90-degree triangle here. You can continue once you find A to use the law of cosines for the other sides, or you could go back to basic trig now that you know that you have a 90-degree triangle. If this is 90 and we know 8, 6, and 10, we can use tangent to find C or sine, whatever we want to find B and C, and we don't have to go through the long process. But if this wasn't 90 for some reason, you would go through the same process and use the law of cosines again to figure out every angle, except then it would be B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine of B, and we'd solve for B that way. So there's a few different, I think they were trying to see if you realize the quicker version. Okay, I'm going to do another law of cosines and another right triangle, and then we're done with the 6-point problems.